What's happening, everybody? What's up, Mr. Keith McGee? Tournament of Champions winner. Gus DeBow, what's up, bro? Daniel, what's going on? What's up, Will? I got my huge award up there. Where is it? You up there somewhere. Oops. Right there. What's up, Mr. Phillips? Ryan, all right. What's going on? Mr. Quinn, talk about you later. I wish I was a hammer. This is a lot of hammers in this club. I basically want to first off thank everybody for Saturday. That was a tough event, but it was a good event. All the guys that showed up and their families over at the end of the event was much appreciated. Everyone who showed up actually got a prize thanks to Vector Hooks, which was cool. Vector Hooks supplied us with 10, 15 bags of hooks. I don't know. It was great. Awesome stuff. I got a pack myself, and I checked that out, and it was they're quality hooks. I know Mr. Brian Falb uses those as well, so he'll vouch for them for sure. So I'd love to hear when you guys go, test them out as soon as you can, and hit up Vector and thank them, and let us know how they are. I'll be curious to hear people's opinions on that. All right. And definitely thanks to Mr. Rick Morris, who came up and he put up a little cash for us to help us with the TOC and support that event. And grateful he hung out with us and took some photos. Appreciate it. Unfortunately, Rick didn't catch anything, but which I thought for sure he was going to. He wasn't far from where I was, so I was expecting him to stick all my fish. But apparently he had a tough day. So and the results of that, Mr. Rick Rowland came out with a win on that one, and he definitely had a much better day than most people did. Him and Joey Sullivan, who came in second, they did bang up job. Congratulations to you guys. And new angler to the club, Seth Lebinsky, got third place. And a couple of things I forgot to bring. Actually, I brought them. I've actually had them sitting right there, and I forgot to hand them out. Was the Joey got a free pair of Solar Bat sunglasses, and Seth gets a $50 Yak Attack gift certificate, which I already have sent over to him. So make sure you use that. And if you guys can, anytime when the sponsors, if you guys can help out, support them. First of all, Greensboro Gardens, which is the company that Rick Morris owns over in Greensboro. If you can, if you know anybody who's looking for some quality work done on their property, he's the guy to go to. The Solar Bat sunglasses, they've been supporting us for a couple of years now. Go buy a pair of glasses. You get a good discount with us. That also comes back and supports the club. And they're good. The good quality glasses, very light. Some of them float. I definitely would check that out if I was you guys. And Yak Attack, as always, they've been, I think, a supporter of the club since the beginning, well before I got here. Anyway, so I use all Yak Attack stuff on my kayak now. I don't know who doesn't, honestly, because it's great stuff's quality and it gets the job done. So, if you guys can start supporting the sponsors, make sure you're tagging sponsors, make sure you're, putting out a, good vibe for them so they know that they're getting their value by supporting us. And that helps us, continue to get support year after year for you guys. So the more you help us with that, the better. And all these sponsors, the ones that have been supporting this year. We got some extra ones with Triad Signs, with Greensboro Gardens, Stanley County stepped up pretty big this year. Faircloth Chimney Sweeps. You guys, any of our sponsors, if you need anything, I'd ask you to check them out first. All of our sponsors are great. They're all good quality, professionals. So go to those guys before you go elsewhere. I'd appreciate it, and they'd appreciate it. Maybe they'll help us out more next year, and the TOC will be blowing up even more than it already is. So now there's a few things I wanted to touch on because we had some comments after the tournament. Some legit questions and issues that happened that I just want people to understand what the rules are and make sure everybody's on the same page. So if you have any questions or when something's going on during the tournament, don't hesitate to contact the TDs. We got plenty of us out there. We'll try to clarify the rules, or pull up KBF and look at their rules and make sure it's what you think it is, because there's a couple that were correct and there's a couple maybe a little bit of gray line. Depends how you look at it, but pretty much it's black and white. So with that, the first thing is PDF. Someone said they saw people without PDFs on. I can't address anybody not wearing a PDF. I don't know who that person is, and I don't have proof. So if you see someone without a PDF, first things first is tell them to get PDF on. Don't be afraid to tell somebody. You could be saving their life for all you know. So just tell them, hey, you don't have a PDF on. Give them a chance to put it on, and let's get on with it. We all want to fish. We don't want to sit there DQing people. And being safe is seriously important. So we want to, especially with events like on Falls Lake, that was heavy traffic, and I wouldn't want to see any of our guys without a life jacket on. Anyone that did not in the tournament, that get a life jacket on. There was an incident at the lake that an anchored pontoon boat was out there, and someone dropped something overboard and jumped overboard, never came back. That could easily happen to anybody. So definitely PDF all times. And if you see someone without one, and take a photo, let us know so we can figure out who it is. Especially if you tell them to and they tell you to go fly a kite, take a photo. Let us have the proof, so we don't have to sit there and second guess and wonder and whatever. If we have the proof of any violation or cheating or anything, it just makes our life easier. If you think someone's cheating, bust out your camera. You got it. Take a video, do whatever, and then let us know, and we'll take care of it. We don't want to DQ people, but if you're breaking the rules, no bueno, you're out. Other issues, one was the 360 lights. Technically, it's not a requirement by law in most cases, or in some cases with kayaks. So you don't have to, if you don't have a motor, have a 360 light, from what I understand. However, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So I know 5:30, we figured we had a half hour before the bass boats took off from Ledge Rock where we were. At 5:30, they were coming. We no sooner started pedaling, and we had boats blowing by doing 80 miles an hour. So it was still kind of low light. You can see a little bit, but definitely get a 360 light and use it. I think they're, if we go to, we got James coming up in Lake Mayo in the middle of the summer. It's going to be boat traffic early. Be visible. It's a safety thing. It gets you back home. That's what we want. So I don't think we can DQ you unless if you're breaking the law. If you got a trolling motor, you need navigation lights and 360. If you don't have a trolling motor, I believe you just need a signal light, even though I think that might be questionable with how some things are going. But I know they changed some of the laws. But if I'm wrong with that, someone can correct me. I'm cool with that. As far as that's my understanding of how the law works. And the other thing was young guys with their parents. If you're fishing, if you're under 18, you're supposed to have a parent with you at all times. That's the rule. You can't just take off and leave a kid. We don't want to be responsible. We're not going to be responsible. We can't babysit. So you need to be there. You need to be responsible and make sure your kid's all right. And that's just part of the rules. So going forward, if the parent's not within visible sight of their youngster, it's going to be a DQ because we don't want to be responsible for that. That's not cool. Especially on a busy lake like Falls Lake, that could be dangerous. It was dangerous for adults, never mind young guys. So just going forward, make sure you're with them. The other question was advice, parent giving advice to their child on the water. That's legal. That's allowed. He can't cast, reel in, using that, help measure anything else physically, hold the boat, nothing. But if he says, hey, I think there's a bass over there, that's fine. There's no rule against it. So I was reading the rule just a minute ago. I think it's 6C covers it on KBS rules, and it has nothing about getting advice or anything from anybody else. You can get advice from competitors. You can get advice from whatever. The boat comes by and says, hey, throw a spinnerbait. It's not illegal. Bass has different rules, but as far as KBF goes, that's my understanding. It looks pretty black and white to me. So it's kind of good to have that question because it was, it's good to address it so people don't feel like somebody's skirting rules or cheating or whatever. So that's that one. And coming up, we got Randleman on July 31st, and we're going to do a $10 raffle ticket. Buy as many tickets as you want, buy them for your friends, whatever you want to do. All that money goes to the TOC, and that's from Triad Signs. It's going to be a kayak wrap, custom kayak wrap. They're donating that. That's part of their sponsorship. They also donate all those prizes. They print those out every time. So, we really appreciate their support. But they're going to have that for a raffle item on at the Randleman event. They're also going to be there at the Randleman event. So I believe Brandon is going to be there. And Corey had his boat and his kayak wrapped by these guys. They did a great job. It looks really sharp. So he's going to swing by. He'll have his kayak and can check it out with the custom wrap he got from the Triad. So we're going to do a mandatory meeting. I'm just going to give plenty of heads up on this. It's going to be a mandatory check-in for Randleman. If you don't want to hang around, you can leave afterwards, but we're going to do a manual required check-in so we can make sure everyone's off the water and give an opportunity for everybody to come up to the area where we're all hanging out with Triad. It'll be at the Southwest Park underneath the overhang. And I believe, I don't think we can do it at the other launch, so I think we'll probably most likely be at Southwest. And then after that, we got East versus West, which is a pretty cool concept event that we're testing out this summer because usually summer's a little quiet. It's hot. People don't want to stay out all day, but we're trying to do a little more incentive on this one and give guys a choice to battle against West versus East. So you get Lake James and you got Mayo. So I fished Mayo last year. It's a pretty cool lake, a little different, a lot different actually compared to the lakes we usually fish. So and James is the same way. It's a lot different than what we usually fish. Smallmouth in it. It can be a pretty interesting event. So we're going to have a East winner and a West winner. So it depends on how many people we get, whether it'll just be a grand event where you have a champion and you get the West title or East title, or if we have enough to do two separate events, we'll have to see when the time gets there. But with that, we're going to go with taking the top angler from each lake is going to get a TOC qualification. So regardless if you're in 20th place at Mayo and this guy first and second way above you, one guy from each side's going. One guy from each side. So that's 2 spots coming up because we did have an extra free spot because someone wasn't a member that won one of the events. So they don't get that free ride to the TOC. And with that one, we'll probably have 2 TDs, one at each lake. If not, we'll do an online after meeting, which we'll probably do anyway. We'll probably have a live afterwards to discuss it and have some, good times about it. And with that, we got, Mr. Rick Rowland. He punched his ticket into the TOC, so that leaves it's 3 guys that are punched in. So we have Rick Rowland, Mr. Hank Vijon, and Mr. Christopher Decker. All 3 of those guys are already set to go to TOC. They're Santee Cooper. They're good to go. Santee Cooper is going to have good paydays. It's no fee to enter, and all you have to do is put up 1 fish, just put 1 legal fish on the board, and you get $100. And then the top prizes we announced before, I believe it was $2,000, $1,000, $500. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And that might go up if you guys participate with this raffles and all these raffles and things that we got going on for the next couple of events. We'll be able to pump that up even more. So with that being said, the Angler of the Year race is getting interesting, and these guys are pretty tight. So, but the current leader is here, so I'm actually going to bring him in. What's up, Mr. Vijon?
What's up, Eric?
So you're in the lead. Still hanging on.
You see, I got some sweat beads right here.
I bet.
Sweating.
No doubt.
Sweating.
Yeah, see, you got Mr. Rowland starting to sneak up a little closer. You got Mr. Shelley. He's Shelley Eford's coming on up. He's right there.
Yeah.
I was looking at some of the numbers, and there's a lot of people with a 20-point tournament to drop. And I'm one of them. I think I'm like 170 or so behind you right now, and I got that tournament sitting there. So,
if you look over my shoulder, I believe that's the event.
That's the one. That's the one that all of us except for 6 were pissed off.
That's. Let me get that. Let me get that little something in there.
That's it. That's the money.
I want to just say that I'm honored to be in competition with so many great fishermen on the trail. And when I looked at the new standings that you posted and saw Henry, Shelley, Rick, I went back. In my mind, I flashed back to the first event where I was ever in the money. It was me, Shelley, and Rick. We were 1, 2, 3. I don't remember the order, but I was not first. I believe Shelley won it, and then Rick was second. I was third. And that was at McIntosh 9 years ago.
Wow.
So some things change, some things don't.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And that wasn't even CKA. That was Carolina Yakfish. That was Joey and Bob's Trail, the original kind of mothership where we all were forged in fire. So seeing that up there, it warmed my heart, but I stopped being sentimental immediately because if you've been around long enough, and even just last year, Rick won back-to-back events in July and August.
Yep. And that was like the first one to do it, right?
I think one other person might have done it years ago. PC might have won back-to-back events back in the earlier years. But fishing against an angler of his quality and temperament is, you've got to bring your A game. And these next 2 events are going to determine a lot for the top anglers, the TOC, etc. And it's going to be really exciting because, I dropped the ball at Baden. And frankly, on Saturday, I had 4 big bites and I only put 1 in the boat. So I missed a good opportunity there. I earned good points on Saturday at Falls, but I had a couple of fish that one came unbuttoned, one got me wrapped in a tree, and one I didn't see, and another one, that one came unbuttoned too. So look at Wayne said, Hank, Joey. Nice comments, guys. I appreciate it. A shout out to everybody. Let me just say, Justin, Denny, Gustavo, Wayne, Joey, just everybody out there, man. It's just been such a pleasure this year competing against you guys. I just want this to go to the wire, and I want everybody to just have a good time and bring their A game, because I've been in pole position for after every event except for one, when Don Trell had me by a couple of points. And that kind of pressure is not easy, and if you don't turn it into a good time, it's going to break you. Like the psychology of a long tournament season, I was feeling it last week. I spent 2 weeks on Falls trying to finally unlock that lake. I did okay on tournament day, but I went in there pretty confident that I was going to catch a good limit after practice. And man, I made mistakes.
Yeah. I had the same kind of practice where I went in, I found like 80 to 85 inches, pretty boom, no problem, good to go. Made the right decision, I think, but with that, but wasn't there. They were gone.
Well, Falls, like you said earlier, Falls is a tough lake, especially with the traffic. But even if you remove those boats, those fish are hard to find on good fish are hard to find on a big lake like that. We saw that the other day. I mean, I had the 11th and final limit of the tournament, and it was just under 70 inches. There were a lot of just really small fish that were active the last few weeks on Falls, and I fished it for 2 weeks. I was on that lake for 7 or 8 days prior to CKA, and I didn't really have much success finding bigger bites. And then when I did on tournament day, I dropped the ball on a few.
Right.
Randleman, though, is a different animal. Oh, wait, hold on. I want to correct something you said. You said Randleman's going to be July 30th. It's July 10th.
July 10th?
Isn't it the 10th?
The 10th for KFL is 31st for CKA.
Oh, it's the 31st for CKA?
Yes, sir.
Oh, son of a gun. Hold up, because I almost went on the wrong day. Let me make a note.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah. Let me just write this down here, my little 31st, son of a gun. All right. Well, thank you for correcting me. I almost really dropped the ball there.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. You guys saw our captain's meeting and went, what? Yeah, what do you think about the James and the Mayo deal?
I'm excited for Mayo. It's a lake I've always wanted to fish. It's the only major lake in central North Carolina that I have never fished.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to get my eyes on it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a cool little lake. I went once last year. I didn't catch any monsters or anything. I caught a couple rats or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting. It was different. You run into some grass here and there. Mm-hmm. It might be kind of a ledge fishing kind of lake, maybe. Mm-hmm. I didn't really get to dial it in any, but I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the lake. It was kind of nice. There's only one ramp. It was just fishermen, so it was kind of nice. I'm sure there'll be some jet skis out there, but seemed like a pretty good lake.
Yeah, it's an interesting lake. I have never fished it, but I have like a group of other fishing friends that I've been fishing with for a really long time down here, and they fish it in the winter. And they go out on boats. I've always declined the invitations, and I hear really great things about that lake. I'm tempted, however, to say that I'd like to go to James, because when I went there the one time CK did have a tournament in 2015, I think it was, I really enjoyed the lake. I stayed up there. I pre-fished for a day. Morganton's a nice little town.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's scenic, and there are smallies in there that will really surprise you. I remember a couple big ones were caught in that event, and I tied into a couple and put a good one on the board. And a 16-inch smallmouth bass is like catching a 21-inch largemouth. They fight like hell.
Yeah.
So just for the fun factor, I'm tempted by that lake and that
Mm-hmm.
option. But right now, my mind is on Randleman, and now that I got the right date, hopefully I'll.
We're gonna be there all month. It's gonna like Falls Part Two, man. I felt like I lived at Falls Lake all month, and now I gotta do Randleman all month. It'll
Yeah,
be interesting.
Randleman's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. I love Randleman, but it's a lake that's just I've never really figured out too well. I've done okay there. It's like Falls. It's not one of my favorite lakes. So
Hmm.
I've got to figure out two lakes back to back to keep myself alive in this AOY race. And I've got to do it against a guy who has got Randleman, who has owned Randleman over the years, and that's Rick. He has had some huge days on that lake. So
Interesting. Hmm.
um, Rick has really dominated on Randleman. That's almost like a home, with the exception of McIntosh and Jordan. That's like almost like home lake for him. So I've really got my work cut out for me. And even guys who were, I was looking at the standings before I came on here, like Melvin was in third recently. He's dropped
Hmm.
way down after a bad event, but he's got three really good scores on the board. If he has two good events in these last two events going into the Gate City Classic, he could be in position to win it all. So it's
Easily.
a wide open race.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
It's a
definitely
wide
not.
open race.
Yeah. It's not even close to being over. So
No.
it could be interesting. It could be interesting.
Yeah, anything could happen over these last three tournaments. And I feel really lucky and honored. I worked really hard to, keep stacking points. I pre-fished for CKA this season more than I ever have in previous years. I really put in the work with some, results that I'm happy about. But the thing that I'm happy about the most is that, you know, the home stretch is going to be really exciting and dramatic.
Hmm.
And this is going to be an Angler of the Year race that's going to go to the wire. And
Yeah.
those
Oh,
are always the best ones.
yeah. I think the Gate City Classic being a required number is going to mix it up quite a bit.
Yeah, that was a good call that you guys changed that for your top five plus the Gate City. So everyone's got to be there for that. And, it gives people a chance at some other lakes that everyone fishes Randleman and McIntosh for those tournaments. Up there's last year's AOI Charles Cruz. What's up,
There
Charles?
he is. What's
Um,
up, Charles?
and Rookie of the Year. So maybe we'll talk about that in a minute. Um, but there were those three other lakes up on top of Greensboro that hold some really good fish, and you don't hear much about folks fishing those, but those they had a Bassmasters event up at the one lake, and it was the championship round of the classic.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, they
Oh,
fished High Rock, and then they did the last day up at that lake. It's the northeasternmost of the three above Greensboro. Wayne, drop the name in
the
there. You know it.
Townsend?
It might be Townsend. Yeah, I've only fished it once, but it's a quality lake, and it's the kind of lake where somebody who is in the running for AOY and needs to swing for the fences and catch a 108-inch limit on the last day and crush everybody. That's one of those lakes where you can pull that off because it doesn't get pressured as much.
Right, right. Yeah, you got High Point too, which that was only place this winter I caught a pig was High Point.
Yeah, it's a good lake too. Yeah, if they're
Yeah,
not having a yacht club party.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oak Hollow is another one. Yeah, there's some good lakes, and they don't get fished enough. I don't think. A lot of people put their money on McIntosh and Randleman, which has paid off, I guess. So you can't really blame them.
Yeah, they're all quality fisheries. Randleman's great because it doesn't get as much pleasure boat traffic, so it's going to be a fun lake for us to fish next month.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Less wakes.
Hmm. And I like that deep water bite this time of year. I didn't
Hmm.
find it on falls. I looked for it over the last few weeks. I would pop into some deeper spots, and I just couldn't find that deep bite. But hopefully, I'll get to it on Randleman somewhere. There's a lot of good deep water on that lake. So guys who like fishing deep water, James Randleman sets up really well for those. I'm not sure how Mayo fishes on the deeper end. I've only heard
Right,
about shallow fishing there
right.
in that grass, but these next few events are going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been an exciting year. It's been more exciting than the past for some reason. I don't know why. I've kind of CKA wise, I'm more excited about it. So, um,
Well, you guys have done. Let me
rookie of
say
the
this: you
year.
guys have done a great job with bringing in all these new sponsors. In addition to Get Outdoors paddle sports, having Justin's company, Rick's company coming in, Texas Two Step, the company you mentioned who's coming to Randleman. That's really good to see that kind of sponsor support
Right.
this year for the club. It's something that had been there in previous years, but not as consistently, and that's just awesome to see people giving back to the sport and also the sport giving back to the anglers. Um, um, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. It's nice to see him coming on, and hopefully next year will be bigger. Stanley was a surprise thanks to Mr. Chad Hoover, so uh, that was a
Yeah,
pretty.
shout out to KBF for bringing them on board.
Yeah, and might want to do something big next year too. So I'm excited about that. We might have some
Oh
good
yeah,
news for
what's
that
that?
too. Now the angler of the year, the rookie of the year race.
Hmm.
Uh, what we got going on there? If I can find it.
I see folks got some questions here.
Yeah, what you got? What?
Dustin's asking, "Where's the deep water on Randleman?"
It's there. You got to look for it. Just don't get too close to the dam because that's a long drop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my standings go. I had them up here a minute ago. Here we go. James Quinn. I believe he's from up in Virginia. He's been coming down fishing. He fishes for the Norfolk Privateers, I believe, too, um, with Mr. Charles Cruz. So he's doing really well for the rookie of the year position with 550 points. He's ahead of, let's see, I think it was, yeah, James Burns with 503. So he's got a good lead on him. And Mr. Justin Periclos got 501, I believe. Um, so it's a pretty tight race with those guys. And I think Gate City Classic is going to come in big for those guys because they're all right neck and neck. And that should be interesting.
Well, here's Sammy Wilson. He won the ROI a couple years back. Sammy, you asked, can anyone fish the KBF event at Randleman? That's not a KBF event. That's KFL. It's the team league. So you got to be on a team to fish that event, Sammy. But I'm sure that the way KFL is going this year, they're probably looking to get more teams set up in the region. There were 2 in North Carolina now, and it's been fun
Yeah.
fishing that. We got some CKA guys doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a whole different feeling when you're out there on the water when you got teammates. It's just weird. It's
I
it's
like
like,
it.
yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
throwing this, and this, something I'd never friggin' do to anybody.
I like it. It takes, I remember we did the last time CKA did a team event, which was a separate non-points event. It was a team-only event. It was at Randleman. It wasn't that optional side event like we did a few years ago,
Hmm.
where we had side teams in addition to the regular tournament. There was a team-only event, non-points at Randleman. It was kind of like a wildcat, um, and with a 2 angler team, there's pressure on the anglers to produce. But with KFL, you go out with 4 guys, you feel like yeah, all right, if I don't do well, maybe one of the other guys will pick up the slack, and one guy could post 10 huge fish and win it all for everybody. So it's good.
Right.
Dontrell says there's an interest meeting for KFL on Thursday at 8 for people
Right.
wanting to learn more about it. So yeah, look into that. If we can get a bunch of teams here in North Carolina, it might eliminate some of the extra travel that the teams are doing this year, and that's always good.
Yeah. They did. I did talk to what's his name? Drawing a blank. Greg Nosar from KFL. I asked him about that because I had some people asking me some questions. 2 teams per state,
Mm-hmm.
but they need someone in South Carolina.
Yeah.
They could probably use 2 in South Carolina. So,
Yeah.
and there's another. I think they only have 1 in Virginia. So there's room around the area that would be awesome because we wouldn't have to travel all over the country like some of these guys have to do. Although it's kind of fun. I wish I was going to the Florida event. That would be good, but we'll miss that one, unfortunately. Cool. Good deal. So, I think that covers just about anything. I don't know if anyone else has any questions. You have anything to add on the rules I went over there, Henry? I think I got the rules pretty close. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Got any thoughts on the rules that I went over earlier?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one that I mean, because I work for KBF, I got to be careful what I say. But it's also because there are firewalls that prevent me from being involved in tournament operations with KBF. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to answer those kinds of questions. It's not in my job description. I just do the media stuff. But I did have a question about lights, 360 lights.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, in KBF rules, they're only required for night tournaments. So if
Okay.
you're doing a one night stand, you have to have a 360 light no matter what,
Okay.
if you have a motor or not. Otherwise, they're as you mentioned,
Okay.
and that was correct. And I thought you did a great job of explaining that stuff. Like the bottom line is safety, and put your damn PDF on so that, or PFD on so that you get home alive. I mean,
Yeah.
someone died at Falls the other day,
Right.
and look, if you've been following the news, how many people died on the Dan River last week? 5.
Wasn't that much?
I don't even know if they found some of the bodies yet. Imagine, your loved ones freaking out and they can't even get your corpse out of the damn lake.
Right. Right.
That's awful. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
nightmare for the people you leave behind. So, just not to be like horror movie example, dramatic, but just wear the PFD, and if you don't like the one you have, buy a better one that's more comfortable. You
Right.
got to wear them. That's just the bottom line. Too many people die because they're not wearing PFDs. And I've been in that situation where you spill and you think, well, I can swim. And, man, water is a powerful element.
Oh yeah.
It has no mercy, man.
Nope.
I've flipped out of a canoe on the Delaware River years and years ago, and man, I'll never forget it. And I'll never go without a PFD again.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. And I'm not sponsored by NRS, but I'll vouch for the Chinook any day of the week.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There's
I
plenty
used
of
to,
options. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
trying a new one this year because my other one, my older one that I had, I just outgrew it. I didn't like the pocket space on it. Um, I'm working. I bought a new one at Get Outdoors with my CKA discount back in the winter, and so far so good. I find it more comfortable.
There you go. Yeah. There was one more thing I had to go over, and I saw Wayne, and it reminded me. Wayne judged all the fish on Saturday. Um, he called, and afterwards he told me, he goes, these people need to look at Henry and your fish photos to see how it should be done. So you're here. So we got the props from Wayne because our stuff was clear, the angles were right, the you could see the ID code, everything was good. Not that other people didn't have good pictures too. But we submitted probably half a dozen fish each at least, and he noticed that our fish pictures were good, and he had trouble with others. So, guys, really take your time on your photos. Double check and make sure it's not blurry. Make sure you blow it up. Make sure you can clearly see the line. You can clearly see numbers. You can clearly see the ID code, the eye, the mouth closed. Get all that right, because it could cause you to lose a fish and lose a tournament. And that's
yeah. And let me say this too. I mean, we've got one thing that I've noticed looking through the standings is that there are just so many names and people I don't know, and I'm so amazed. This year, I said this on Christopher Decker's podcast back in February. I knew that this was setting up to be an amazing year for kayak fishing in North Carolina. We got 3 solid trails, but if we bring Mitch on here, he'll tell you what he's told us in person about CCKF. He wasn't expecting these kinds of numbers. CK's numbers are up too. There's a lot of new people in the sport, and take it from an old salt. There's a learning curve. My pictures weren't perfect in the early years either. Then again, back then we did it with digital cameras, and Bob had to download everything on his laptop. And the check-ins took 2 hours. But, there's a learning curve, and one of the things that I've learned over time, and I'm still learning things, is that if you leave that fish in the water for a minute in your net or on a fish grip, if you leave that fish there to rest and calm down, it makes taking the picture a lot easier.
Right.
And that's why you don't see my hand on the fish. I never have a problem putting my fish on the measuring board and keeping them still. They just cooperate. I don't know why. Maybe they like me. They like my measuring board. They're comfortable around Italians. I have no idea. But those fish are always calm, and I get to take a good picture. And then I put the fish back in the net or on the clip, and I check my picture.
Right. Exactly.
And if the picture isn't good, fish going back on the board.
Exactly.
And that helps the judges, and that prevents that kind of damn it, I let one get away. I got a fish DQ'd, and I've been there too. It's just that it's practice. And I practice taking photos even when I'm not in tournaments. Just to keep the movement and the muscle memory crisp and fresh.
Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll do some kind of video showing people what we do, what we go through, because I know there's a lot of new guys, like you said. His names, I don't know some of them. It's like, I don't know who this person is, and we try to keep up with telling guys read the rules and try to go over the rules, but maybe some a little more assistance so we can leave sitting on YouTube or something.
Well, now that things are opening up, I'm looking forward to meeting some of these people. I haven't been able to get to a lot of the check-ins. I've had other things I had to run home to, and I've always said that with kayak fishing, the way it's gone or the way it's going, we're building for the future, and it's the responsibility of us veteran anglers. When I say me, Shelly, and Rick, we're guys who've been doing this for over 10 years. And it's, some of the other folks on this list too. And even guys who've only been doing it 3 or 4 years, we all have a responsibility to just, spread the word and teach people and explain things and be courteous and friendly and helpful. And that's what makes this sport so great and sets us apart from some of the other aspects of fishing, is that we're all a community. Everyone's in it together.
Right.
And I don't want to make it sound like, Woodstock, Haight-Ashbury, 1968, but there's a mission here. This sport's going to be around after we're all gone. So let's leave something good for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on, helping us out.
Anytime, brother. Thanks for having me. Everybody, peace out.
All right, man. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.